All right, everybody, welcome to Friedman Adventures, a new podcast where we will be fishing, hiking, traveling, and doing so much. For this first show, we wanted to have a really big guest. Unfortunately, Mike Morrison was the only one available. So, Mike, great to have you on the show, the manager of 22nd Street Landing. My friend, it's good to see you.
It's great to see you guys. I'm glad I'm going to be a part of this.
And
at least for today until you fire me.
You're just hurrying back from getting a Christmas tree for your kids.
Yeah. We're going to get the Christmas spirit going early and continue on through next December with the tree up, I think, so we can forget about 2020.
It's a bitching time of the year when you got kids that are your age. When they're, like Philip sitting out here, he's 46 years old or whatever the hell he is. Not too much fun. But when you got young kids, it's a great time of the year.
Yeah, me and my wife were in bed last night. Not doing anything weird, but we were trying to figure out what to get them for Christmas, and I don't know what more than a kid needs right now. Just love and affection. That's all you really need.
Yeah,
no school, no nothing.
Especially with parents. This has been a crazy freaking year.
Yeah,
hasn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, this COVID shit. What has that done to your job down here? That's actually complicated a little bit.
It complicated it in the beginning, but. It got easy. People made their reservations online, and the boats were full without fish biting. But fortunately, the fish were biting, so everybody got off the boats happy.
Well, you mean they were full because of the limited load?
Yeah, we lessened the loads to 24, 26, 28, or 30, depending on the boat length, and it worked. We managed to skate through the year scot-free. Everybody was happy. And we're just getting through the end of November now and on to December where rock fishing gets really good.
All right, well, good. I mean, there's no better eating fish. Mark Paisano was here yesterday, and we were talking about the history of this landing. He wasn't even sure about it. So I do a little research.
Perfect.
1936 is when this thing got started. And then Frank Hall, who I knew, because Dipley and him used to kind of fight. John Dipley ran out of here, and I'll tell you a few stories about John. But he bought this place in 63, had a couple trailers and a dirt lot out there, and he got it going and growing and growing and growing. And Frank Hall, what an amazing character he was. World War II, he flew B-17s in Germany, got knocked down over German territory 3 freaking times, and escaped the Germans all 3 times. I mean, what a cool guy.
And our history of why sport boats are what they are, a lot of them came from old war boats. They turned into fishing boats, barges, and now we're here with highfalutin, bougie sport fishing boats that are nicer than the Taj Mahal. So
yeah, no shit. And
really nice boats.
Right across, there's Catalina Island. That's where sport fishing started. Got in the 1800s. It really got its start there with Charles Holder, and it's amazing to be here. It's such a historical place. And now you're running the place. So in the history of 22nd Street Landing, you will occupy a very important spot.
I'd say that we've learned a lot. This is not the best fishing that we've all seen, but it's quality of fishing that we've seen since I've been here, since 2000. I've been here since 2013, I think, or 12. But 2015, 16 kicked off, and it was the land of the giants. Everywhere you went, it was a big fish. People were cutting their teeth first time out on a sport boat, catching a 25-pound yellowtail on a yo-yo jig. It's very user-friendly, straight up wind up and down, dropper loop. And these people were just foaming at the mouth to do this, and it would bit for 4 years. And it just led into better fishing. Kelp disappeared at the islands. The bass started biting more. Everything just got incredible. We had one fish taped out on the bluefin tuna, taped out over 300 pounds on the Amigo.
Freaking incredible.
If that's the cherry on the top, I could die a happy man. I've seen a lot. I got bit off 4 times not knowing how to catch a wahoo on my aluminum skiff, trolling back and forth from the rigs that are only 9 miles, 10 miles out there.
That's pretty crazy.
I would have been stoked to catch one, but I was stoked to get bit. You could have got out and had a plan to go catch anything that you've ever seen pretty much on the West Coast and caught it. I have friends, Julio Sandoval. He's caught pretty much every species that he's set his mind to, except for an Opa, I think. But he just got done fishing with a couple buddies, and they're catching swordfish.
It's incredible. It's been incredible. These giant bluefin. You mentioned the wahoo.
Yeah.
Previous to that warm water flush that we had that warm water bubble from El Nino up here. But previous to that, I can't remember exactly what year. Sean Morgan called me one morning, and he was at the bait receiver in Long Beach. And he called me up, and I was like, I picked up the phone. I think I was doing 976 tuna back in those days. Can't remember, but I think I was. And he said, guess what the guy next to me just caught at the bait receiver? And I said, I don't know. I was tired. And he goes, what do you think? I go, a salmon. And he goes, a wahoo. And I go, yeah, fuck you. And he goes, yeah. I've got a freaking video of the guy catching a wahoo. Oh, yeah. And he did. So there's some amazing stuff. I mean, it makes this business so exciting. And what we've seen here lately, these giant bluefin tuna, it's incredible, man. I mean, the consistency, the size of the fish.
They're biting today.
Are they?
Yeah, the Pac Queen got limits this morning. I talked to Captain Jeffrey Walker with the nice hair on the tomahawk. He had limits. These are smaller grade stuff, but just off San Clemente Island. But he had limits for his 2-day trip. He was done. He's already on his way home because they're done. So his thing's not over yet. It's December or November 28th, 29th right now, and it's gonna bite. I know me and Aaron went and looked at these things in January and February. They were there. They didn't bite, but now we figured it out. He started catching those G-fly flying fish, made all the rigging, and now, it's all history for knowing how to catch. Anyone can go out and catch a bluefin tuna right now if you can get a kite or a balloon away from your boat and you have enough for fuel.
Yeah, I got to laugh when you say small grade, because there was a time like albacore fishing when you're catching 25, 30-pound albacore, you're freaking stoked with that.
Yeah.
But now small grade fish is like, anything under 50. It's ridiculous.
Is the word jaded? Is that what it says?
Yeah, I think.
2015, 16, 14, if you caught a handful of yellowtail, talking to John on the Pursuit, they'd go months without catching any yellowtail. One yellowtail, one sea bass, one halibut would fill the boat up for weeks.
Right.
And, if you didn't catch anything over 5 pounds, people would turn their nose up to it. And there was a brief moment where the islands and the offshore stuff was that, boom, we put 10 in a bucket, But that El Nino event, everybody's just yellowtail. And no one had to learn how to fish. They just adapted to the bigger tackle. And this thing goes back to anchovy. I don't have a clue. You have a clue. You know how to fly line an anchovy. There's a lot of really talented fishermen that can go back to doing that. But you fly line a 12-inch sardine, you're bit. You know, like it didn't want to take too much skill. It's just not busting off on these things. But as this thing, hopefully everybody takes from this fishing is that the fact that like there was something special, like just absolutely special that we dealt with.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you how smart a guy I am. I can remember being a deckhand on the Redondo Special. This is part of the reason I never got a captain's license. I've got the time, and I spent a lot of times working on boats. I can remember going out on the Redondo Special with 60 people and coming back with 3 blue perch and a lizard fish. And I can remember thinking to myself, this frickin' fishery is done. And there was an old guy who used to run a bait boat called Ray Greenwood. And he'd come out on the special and he'd hang his leg over the rail. He was this old, skinny guy. And I'd say, Ray, what do you think? And he'd always, every sentence he started with, I don't know why he did that, but he did, cycles. And I'm like, this freaking guy is not too smart. You know what? Friggin' Ray Greenwood was right. And I watched and I listened to him and I watched those cycles. And in those times, we had very little knowledge about El Nino and La Ninas and all of these warm water and cold water events that move different fish in. And he was right. And now, in my later years, when I probably have just a few years left maybe, I'm seeing the best fishing in Southern California that I've ever seen and could ever have possibly imagined.
As quality goes. But like back when I was a kid, I remember getting on the boat. At the end of the day, you couldn't walk back to the bait tank because you're stepping over barracuda and sand bass. And
that's true.
That's what most of us cut our teeth on. And I'd kill for that any day of the week. But I would never trade the quality that we just went through at all. Like that, just absolutely silly.
And there's a guy named Bob Osborne who's pretty much, he's a fisheries expert who tells me that that's part of a cycle also. And he fully expects sand bass and barracuda to return here during a strong La Nina, which is brewing right now, which could have albacore. So I'm not going to doubt these guys anymore because I thought I was way too freaking smart before, and I wasn't. And it's amazing to see that kind of stuff. Hey, how the hell did you get into fishing? How did you get? How old were you? How did that happen?
broken home stuff, multiple boyfriends and stepdads, and not my boyfriends, but my mom's boyfriends. Everybody was just into fishing. And we used to drive in from Vegas and fish Cisco's, fish hooks.
So you grew up in Vegas?
Yeah, born and raised in Vegas. And I grew up fishing every square inch of Lake Mead, Lake Mojave, you name it. I mean, these guys in the office talk about catching striper. And they've never been to the land of the giants. There's some just world-class striper fishing at Lake Mead. You just got to put the backpack time into it doing it. But, we escape the heat in Vegas. It's 150 million degrees.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And spend 3 weeks, 4 weeks out of every summer growing up as a kid fishing everywhere from here to San Diego. And then one day I walked into this place and fixed the vending machine for Carl. And then
so were you living around here when you did that, or?
I moved from Vegas to Venice and then Venice to here. My wife's sister-in-law lived here, but I have no affiliation to sport fishing other than just being a diehard. And they have a lot of cool toys I could play with, so they trust me. So they let me run everything.
And so you fixed a vending machine here? How does that story go?
Yeah, Carl was MFing this ice cream machine, and I just fixed it, and he said he'd hire me if I fixed it. So 10 years later, I'm still here.
Oh, my God. How do you what's the best part about running a landing? What do you like about it?
I like people. I'll never get over people.
Yeah.
Good or bad. I've been called all kinds of names because so many people didn't catch fish, or I was right, or they were right, or they were wrong. But I'm good with people. I love people. This, you're never bored in sport fishing. There's always something to be done or undone and redone and rethought about. All this new tackle, but it's just mainly I just like people, and I get to go fishing for free when I have time.
I worked at Redondo Sport Fishing because I couldn't work on the boats when I was good. There was a little thing called school, and got in the way. So I could work after school at Redondo Sport Fishing. You do run into some weird people, though. I mean, and both the freaking guys working on the boats, running the boats, not everybody, and some of the people that come in and especially the freaking phone call. Do you get weird phone calls still today like we used to get?
I love the phone calls. I had this guy, crank calling me, as they call it in his times. Just yesterday, I think it was, worried about a boat leaving or not. But that went away after Jimmy Smelt left. He lives in Havasu now. He used to just prank us all the time. But general questions, just people they don't know what we do. They don't know why we do it. When they come out, they're like, oh, crap, I missed out on this. We got to come do it more often. But, it's like any other customer service job. It's just you can use a 4-letter word more often than, other occupations.
That's for sure, man. Yeah. In fact, I did a video here recently where I went hiking. I got up into this area that was in Rosarito Beach where I had to go out on this ledge and the F-bombs just started flowing. Some guy wrote on Facebook, he said, I always thought you were like an angel and I said, oh, shit, man, I was a commercial fisherman working in the sport fishing industry, so you can't help but develop, I speak fluent Spanish and fluent profanity, thanks to the sport fishing. Yeah.
Thanks to my mother, too. She's a truck driver, I love her. But people aren't exposed to people like us. I mean, there's a strange breed of people that go fishing very regularly. They don't go golfing. They don't go anything else. They go on a sport boat, chasing fish counts. It's never enough. We're a weird bunch of people, and you look around at each other. Everybody's got the same problem, so you just get along with all of them.
What's the worst thing about working at the landing?
Not fishing. It's smiling at the person getting on a boat, knowing they're going to catch a 300-pound something or anything, and then goodbye. And then when they get back, you have to paint the smile on again. Yeah,
exactly, man. I mean, because you're so close to fishing when you do this, and sometimes you just stop fishing when you get into this industry.
I've ran the Native Sun and the Monte Carlo half dozen times each, and I have not been on a sport boat to go fishing this year.
Oh, my God. That's brutal.
I fished enough in the past, but I had to be here to babysit the place for the Rona laws and stuff. So,
who's one of the most colorful guys at this landing, captain-wise? Who and why? Could you tell me? Guys like Dipley. I've been coming here since
your stories are worth more than my stories any day of the week.
I don't know, man.
Your industry standard. Back in the day, the stuff that you guys can get away with compared to the stuff we have to be PC about. But everybody here, everyone that runs a boat here, they have their quirks. I mean, John Woodrum's a badass. He doesn't speak much. When he's down there, you see some blood on the deck. If you have not seen John Woodrum with a smile on his face, it's because it's not biting. But when it's biting, the guy turns into an animal. I mean, like people are not ready. They see him get on the boat, and if it's biting, he absolutely loses it. It's like a little kid. It's amazing.
Yeah.
John Watanabe on the True Line. He's an Etso. He's like the Red Baron, you know. All of a sudden he sees the same thing and he just starts foaming at the mouth. Every one of these captains around here have their own quirks and personalities, and you know their feelings get hurt more than yours when it's not biting. You know, they're literally banging their head against their machinery. Is this thing broken? What's going on here? And they pout a lot. But it's like we're like a bunch of high school chicks here and prom queens and stuff. Sometimes it's a sensitive industry for being as tough as it is, but every single one of these guys, they're all special. They're all kind of special.
Yeah, because nobody comes to this industry as a captain and is a conformist. They're iconoclastic. They're blazing their own trail. They're entrepreneurial. Yeah. And so sometimes, you know, like I've heard before it described as when you try to do something with all the guys, it's like herding cats.
Oh, you can. I've been trying to have a landing meeting since I've been here just to talk about anything. And it never happens because they're not like-minded per se. But people don't take for granted is they are responsible for X amount of lives every single day on their boats. So
exactly.
They're very, very, very responsible, sharp, on-point guys. They have to be. They're taking people out 200 miles out to no man's land and got to bring them back. So there's a level of professionalism that they hold in and they make sure they run a tight ship and stuff. But I don't know. Like these guys are all great. Like they don't get as much credit as they should get. Most sport boat captains.
I'll tell you one thing, man, that I see in sport boat captains, yourself also, is the freaking work ethic.
Oh, yeah.
The work ethic in this business is so high. And I'll tell you where it just dramatically hit me over the head. I was teaching in China the last 3 years, right? So my job at the school I was at was to be a teacher, obviously. But I would stand in front of a class for an hour and a half a day and make pretty damn good money. And then, you know, you have to do lesson plans and all that bullshit. But for the most part, it was standing in front of students for an hour and a half. Now, for me, I came out of sport fishing, right? I was freaking, the minute that school ended, boom, I was out of there going to an after-school program, teaching there. The minute that ended, I went to a mall. And then I taught adults there. So I was just going, I would literally run into some foreign teachers from England, from America, from South Africa, who after that hour and a half were, oh my God, I can't wait to get to my apartment. I'm just going to put Netflix on. I am freaking beat. So the work ethic you get in this business and you see out there right here at the docks is freaking, it's something to be admired, and it really helps you in life.
These guys work hard and party harder. You know, when they have any time off, they're either with their families or they disappear and come back, kick ass and take names. I mean, we have some of the nicest boats here, and it's not done. Jesus has nothing to do with it. These guys are down there with painters, sanders, grinders, and the work ethics, I don't know, second to none. This industry, like I said, is an underrated, underappreciated, undervalued industry. And, you know, a bunch of pirates is piracy at its finest.
Yeah, and you did mention, though, the fact that all of a sudden out of nowhere, these guys might have to be super professional. If there's a problem on the boat.
Shit hits the fan. We've had a couple issues prior years. Stuff happens, but yeah, no, it comes down to that they're responsible for.
Can you remember one of those issues?
With a customer, he wound up having a heart attack and passing, and you know, you randomly make comms with Coast Guard or local fire agencies that's out there, and all of us on deck, we're all CPR certified and whatnot, and it goes from 0 to 60 in less than a second,
right?
Because we have to react, we have to respond, we make sure everything's good. But other than in 10 years that I've been here, you know, very few things like that, you know, but there hasn't really, knock on wood, as many real emergencies because the Coast Guard's up our asses to keep the boats as sano and safe as they possibly can be.
Right.
But Nothing really rings a bell. I mean, we don't have time to fuck it up, at all. We have to respond quickly. If a boat's going to sink, we're not going to let it sink. If something catches on fire, we take care of it. But those aren't things that aren't common. So, but passengers getting hurt happens. You're on a boat, shit happens.
Yeah, I train my kids. Philip's sitting out here. I train them really well by, how many boats have I sank?
3.
They've been on boats with me that sank 3 times. And I actually, talk about a funny, we were on a commercial boat I ran called the Thunderfish, and we were fishing Tanner Bank. And they make a long story short, many people know this guy. He just passed away. Gordon Stewart was his name. And he was a galley cook down here and everything.
I love Gordon.
Yeah, okay, so you knew Gordon. All right.
If you knew Gordon, you've seen Gordon. If you've been fishing with Gordon, you've seen Gordon naked at least once.
Oh, I skipped that part, thank God.
It wasn't intentional.
He was funnier than shit. He was a big guy, big guy. And we went out to Tanner Bank, and my brother and I were just frickin' knocking the shit out of the big reds, and we were doing it, and he was seasick. He was puking his guts up, and
We're talking about the same Gordon with fish with Danny Lustry, right?
No, I don't think so.
2 different Gordons.
This might be a long
That's
time.
why I'd never seen your guy.
This guy, is your guy still alive?
No, he passed away last year.
Did he die in a truck accident?
Yes.
Well, yeah, we're talking about the same guy.
Yeah, then you know what I'm talking about.
I could tell
Back
some
before
other
you
shit about
before
him.
you found Jesus.
My God, I'll tell you another story. So anyway, he's seasick. And so he calls me down to the bunk room and he goes, I'm having a heart attack. So I come out, I tell my brother, he says he's having a heart attack. And my brother said, bullshit. And I go, yeah, I know, he's fucking seasick and, bullshit. So we keep fishing.
Heart attack.
Oh. So we keep fishing, right? Freaking floating these 50 hook ganyons with, and just
I love that.
calls me down again. I'm having a heart attack. And not only that, I had a heart attack a week ago. And I'm like, you had a freaking heart attack. You have a history of heart attacks. And you're just breaking this to me right now, right? And he said, yeah, I'm having a heart attack. I know it's the same feeling, exact same feeling. I'm like, shit, we're freaking killing these fish. And this dick is having a heart attack.
Don't die on us.
Yeah.
Get up and fish.
So I go out to my brother. I go, what the F, man? So grab the VHF, get on 16. Coast Guard Radio Long Beach, Coast Guard Radio Long Beach. This is the Thunderfish, WYM 3601. Still remember the call sign. And all of a sudden, they come right back to me. And, I was, we're 90 miles, 100 miles on a VHF. We got it. So the guy gives me all these freaking instructions. Get his heart rate, his pulse. I'm fucking 18 years old. My brother's 16, and we don't know what the fuck we're doing. So I go, what is it like an average heartbeat? Like 72 a minute, right? And my brother says, yeah. And I go, all right. Yes, sir. He's 76 a minute, and his temperature is 101.3. So we go through all this shit, and I keep talking to him. I'm suspecting that he's faking this, but what do you do, man? We were just talking about this, and now I'm a kid. So I look at him and I said, Gordon, are you having a heart attack? And the guy comes on the radio. He goes, Captain, are you ordering an air-to-sea rescue? And I looked at Gordon and I go, am I, you dickhead? And he goes, yes. Yes, sir, I'm ordering a fucking 15 minutes later, we have this frickin' fighter jet just go blaring over our heads. And I go, oh shit, that was bitching. And my brother's like, shit, they know where we are now. We had to offload this guy onto a freaking oil rig where a helicopter was in 30 knots of wind and a big swell. And I was telling these guys, I'm talking to the rig, and they go, we have a helicopter landing platform, Coast Guard can land her. I'm going to freaking sink this boat. I cannot. Fuck. We almost did. But my brother, I can just remember him screaming, Phil, punch it! And I punched it, and our tuna tower hit the rig and bent the shit out of that. But we were okay. They dropped a basket down. Now he lost a lot of weight. He had that surgery.
Yeah.
But before, he was like 350 pounds. They dropped this basket down. My brother gets his freaking jacket caught in it, so they're dragging him out to sea. Somebody cuts the jacket with a fillet knife, saves his ass. So Gordon gets up. Long story short, we're out fishing again. We watch the helicopter come, and I go, there he goes. I hope he's okay, So 2 weeks later, I run into Gordon. I go, man, are you all right? I haven't talked to you. Are you okay? He goes, I was just seasick. I wasn't having a heart attack. I go, you.
Yeah.
So at least, like I said, I
thing
got
to
my
do.
kids well trained in that by sinking 3 boats and going through that stuff. Mike, I notice on the back of your leg, you have a tattoo that says "fuck cancer." So what's that all about? Is that what induced that? Is that a personal thing? Is it just a general statement?
One of our good buddies, my boss, Carl Smith, he passed away, I think 4 or 5 years ago. And he was battling the tumor in his brain. And when he did pass, it affected most of us down here. He was the rock for this place for years before he was an owner. There's a lot of guys. You can have multiple guys in here talking about him, and they'll get a little emotional over it. But he changed my life. And when he passed, we one of our deckhands here, Davey Gravy, he has a tattoo gun, and we all got drunk and all got matching tattoos. He either got a LMB with an anchor, or you got fuck cancer on your arm or your head or your neck or a tear or something. But yeah, Carl changed a lot of people's lives around here.
I knew Carl really well. This is just a great guy to be around, fun to fish with. He changed your life. So, I mean, how did he change your life?
Just missing home from being in Vegas and stuff. I boned out from Vegas, and everybody I know lives there. Now I know you guys, but every time I would come fishing here, he was always very friendly, fishing with him in the past. And then not knowing him personally then, but coming to work for him, just made it feel warm, like he was a brother, that I never had, and just rolled the red carpet out for me. He met his family and everybody affiliated with it too. And, that's just, Carl was a very generous person, warm-hearted.
Yeah, it's those moments like that disease in particular is just like, my brother-in-law, Christian, he died, same thing, brain tumor. And it's just like you can do everything in your power and you can't stop it sometimes. And you feel so helpless.
Yeah.
Watching that happen to somebody you really love. It's hard.
Yeah, that was tough for a lot of us here. But, I think after that happened, the fish pit. So maybe he made something happen for us.
I'm sure he did, man. I had a good friend, Will Ebersman, who died a few years ago. And I was telling Philip just the other day, I don't miss Will. And the reason why is because being a recovering alcoholic, we do the what the fuck's the name of the prayer? Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, we do a prayer where with shit that you can't control, you don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. And so Will, he's dead. There's nothing I can do about that. So I just kept him in my heart, and I still talk to him, and so he never really left me in that way. And I'm sure. Carl's.
Oh yeah, I every time I have an electrical question here, we have Dean now, which we've always had Dean. But first thing I do to go to my phone and go up, oh shit, can't call Carl on this one, and I leave his dad alone because I'm always picking and raise brain on shit. But we've grown up since then, so we know how to fix things a little better on our own.
So I mentioned John Dipley a few times. Did you know him?
I didn't know him.
All right. So John ran out of here. And when I was 18, I would come down here. And I actually decked for him on the Grande. He would run the Grande. He was an enormous man. And the reason I'm bringing him up, and I want to bring him up in today's show, is because so many people, when I mentioned him in the preview to this show, said, oh, my God, you got to talk some Dipley stories. So he was an enormous man, 6'4", 400 pounds. He was fat, but he was as strong as an ox. You ask anybody around here, they wouldn't F with him. He was so freaking strong. And he was a funny guy. And he would, his pants would always go down, hang down. And Dipley had this problem when he wiped. I never watched him wipe, but obviously he had a freaking problem because you could see the wipe up above his ass. And it smelled like that all the time up in the wheelhouse. It was just fucking terrible. So I would always sleep, if I was on the Grande deck, and I'd sleep out in a life raft, in the back. So I would sleep there. So one night.
You guys were lucky to get bunks back then, too. I didn't
life raft,
put a customer in there.
Yeah, I know, right. Yeah. Those were the days. People don't realize this. Those were the days when I worked on the Searcher. We would run with 100 people for albacore fishing. People were sleeping on the deck, in the galley. And so one night, we're going to Catalina. Dipley and I are done, tired. And we had a guy on the boat. I'll just mention his first name, Craig. And Craig loved to indulge in all kinds of different substances. So you never knew what the fuck you were going to have with Craig. But we were done, man. We'd been squidding and, doing all this shit, and we were tired. So Craig's on the wheel. Dipley and I go to sleep. For whatever reason, we both, I don't know if John let out a scream or whatever, but I remember waking up and watching him come out of the bunk. And he's coming out of the bunk, and I look out of the front of the boat, and we were freaking rolling up on the New Hustler 2, and we were 30 feet off his stern, making progress on it. And Dipley jumps up, and he goes, Craig! Fucking Craig is just like, huh? And he just fucking, takes it off autopilot and spins it hard over, and we just like go like this. And he goes, Jesus Christ, Craig, you're too fucking close. Don't you realize that? And he goes, I didn't think we were too close, John. And he goes, when you can read captain's quarters, stay out. You're too fucking close. And that was one of the most, it was scary, but it was hilarious. And Dipley, the guy was fishier than anybody you could ever imagine down here. He caught so many fish. He was so funny, but I really do miss him, and I believe he passed away. He went to Grants Pass, Oregon, and passed away. But
that's what Durr said.
All these guys, Tom Durr and all those guys, used to go to his house to play poker. Mm-hmm. I would go over there once in a while. He was funnier than hell.
There's a lot of stories I won't share when I'm sober. So maybe on the next one, there's a lot of funny old guy stories that I heard being a fly on the wall.
Shit.
And I'm going to sell all you guys out one day.
There was another time we were on the Redondo Special. I worked for him on there also. And we hooked a marlin. And we were on this marlin and then we had to go in. And Mike Bowen, who was the deckhand, Mike's still around, he's somewhere. Mike begged him to put him on a life raft. He was going to stay and fight it, and then we'd go drop out the passengers and come back and pick him up. But Dipley just said, fucking pull on that thing, and it finally broke up. But he was a hilarious guy. He was a good guy. I totally enjoyed working with him. But he was one of those guys here at 22nd Street Landing that added to kind of the colorful mix you get with skippers. Like you mentioned, Woodrum. All these guys bring their own special kind of flavor to the industry.
Correct. And when it's off season, everybody gets along, and when it's on season, don't stay away from each other. It's like that up and down the whole coast. A lot of people talk to each other and don't talk to each other, and then talk to each other and talk shit about each other behind each other's backs. But that's like, well, I don't know if that's like any other industry, because I come from a professional environment to this place, and it's a special kind of special. You could, I don't know, you know more about it than I would, but just a lot of things that I've learned being in this industry. Some people have 2 heads, 3 heads, 4 heads, and it's not always. And everybody's so aware of these things, and they just deal with it. Like they're like, oh yeah, we'll just. It's a funny thing I tell, like someone that shows up, a good deckhand is irreplaceable, and by that, I mean if you're a captain and your deckhand's been working with you for years, and your captain comes home and he finds his main deckhand in the same bed as his wife, and they're doing whatever they're doing, chances are the deckhand's going to get beat up and fired. But 6 months later, he's probably going to get a phone call to get his old job back, because good help's really hard to find in this industry. We'll go through a lot of people before we pick and choose. So long story short, you get like strike 10 before you're usually asked out in this industry, because most of the people in this industry have been there, done that, and they try to put their arm around your shoulders and give you a little life lesson here and there. But most of those guys are all the same age now, so they're looking at these younger kids, which it's not really that common anymore. You got a 25-year-old kid still living at home that's either went to college, failing college, or they want to become fishermen, and they're like, wow, we have to actually work? You're like, yeah, you do. You got to show up on time, and you have to work hard all day long. And first thing you want to say a funny, colorful 4-letter word at them, and then you got to worry about getting feedback from it. I know a lot of the old-time captains don't like dealing with the new school captains because of Instagram and social media and all that other shit, because it's easy to get on your phone and your laptop and you're, me, I stay kind of in the middle of everything, but they talk shit to each other and no one ever meets each other on the dock like they used to. And, it never, I think once a year we should put on an event, or big gloves, no gloves, bare knuckle, whatever you guys want to do, and have all the landing operators and owners and boat owners just go for it once a year. It'd be really good. Like back when the foam bat thing where you're able to like whack your spouse with a foam bat, and then that was supposed to cure your relationship. And I don't know how violence helps a relationship, but I still think we should. I mean, something we could probably put on. We can probably make a ton of money doing it, selling tickets. As I watched a little bit, I actually pirated watched some of that Tyson fight last night. It was pretty sad. So I know there's some older captains I wouldn't like seeing fight each other because they'll probably collapse and heart attack and stuff.
How was that fight, by the way? I didn't see it. The Tyson fight. You said it was sad?
Well,
they sucked?
It didn't suck. I mean, they're just two old guys beating each other up. They did well they went 8 rounds, and they didn't bite his ear off.
Yeah.
Towards the 7th and 8th round, they were dancing around like they still had it. It was cool, but I'm glad I didn't pay for it.
Was that like Philip was telling me that they couldn't knock each other? There were all these rules. There was no winner declared, and
it went to a draw. I didn't know any parameters around it, but I know it would have been sad if somebody knocked the other one out. You wouldn't want to see Tyson at the mat ever.
Yeah, no knockouts and then no blood. They would have stopped the fight.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Anybody got cut open?
You mean like a bloody nose?
Yeah.
What the?
Could you have made a wager on that fight too?
Nope.
Then? No shit.
And so did they sell a lot of? Did a lot of people watch that? I wouldn't watch that shit either.
Ton of
Really?
people,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did well?
Just to see
I almost hit by.
Yeah,
but I
that's
knew,
true.
like,
That's true.
unless they were going to bite each other's ears off.
All right, you mentioned a second ago, this is kind of a macho business, but people are sensitive. And so and part of what you're talking about is what are the feuds? What are some of the feuds that go on between captains from different landings? Like what happens at sea? What happens when a guy's on a bunch of barracuda and somebody comes in and bows them? Or what?
Well, there's
that
common
kind of stuff, or what?
there's an inner network, an outer network, a commingled network, and I don't run a sport boat enough to care about the networks. I know who this place talks to and doesn't talk to, or turn their back on certain people, and yada yada yada. But it's all for a reason. So
let's get this straight. So they're here at this landing, and landing A, landing B, landing C. Some of those guys are in a code group with each other, and some are excluded from that code group. So if you're in code group A and you got a bitchin' frickin' barracuda bite, you call your buddy in code group B can go fuck themselves.
Yeah, pretty much. But the code groups or you just call it being friends. Send you a text, it's biting over here. But it's earned. You got to.
Right.
You're not going to just give it to the guy that's new on the block. So you got to put some time in. I don't ever call anyone to. I always joke around and say, "Hey, where's it biting?" Run into the Catalina 3 times in my life on a sport boat. No business being there, but I'm safe with a boat. So found fish on my own, but. Hey, where's it biting? And I know where it's biting, and they tell me it's biting at another location. I'm like, fuck you, And then commercial fishing, I have 5 of my really good friends around town. I know when the squid's around, I can't trust them. But I'd let them come over to dinner the next night. But during squid season, you just don't fucking talk to each other. But the like I said, the code group things, it's new to me to understand the inner workings of it, but you have to work your way into it, and you can't let all the boats in on fish biting. There's just sometimes not enough fish for one area, and you have to spread out the sea lions, and you got to, there's a lot of shit that goes with it. But no, the new guy on the block doesn't get any cred. He's got to earn it. There's a tight knit group of people that talk shit about that guy that they think that there's friends. It's high school shit that I was telling you about. But it's earned, and there's a lot of money being made in this industry because of these groups. And then you got the social side of it to where anyone I could tell you right now where 300 different boats are right now.
Yeah,
and
right.
I don't know if they caught the fish there or wherever in the time frame and stuff like that. So it's not all, you can't get all the data that you want, but the internet fishing, I don't know. The code groups work better for overnight stuff rather than the day boat stuff because it's so quick. That's where the value comes into that. But social media, you should be able to pick apart where anyone's fishing locally.
Pretty much, right?
Yeah. And then those fish dopes and hot stuffs and cold stuffs. But I just saw a bunch of bullshit is what I would have. Yeah, it's totally biting over there. They come in the shop. I do it all the time. People come into the shop and they're like, "Where's the pursuit fishing?" And I'm like, "Farnsworth Bank for sure." And I know they're not there, and I'm like, that guy's gonna pay a lot of money in fuel today. I don't feel bad about it, but
wrong spot.
the boat goes 8 knots, so I'm like, you can find a sport boat on your own if you're looking for it, but just find your own fucking fish.
God, that's got to be one of the biggest complaints I hear from captains is private boaters who come in and try to get in on their fish. These guys,
yeah, it's a two-way street, and it's easier to snuggle up to a sport boat because we have way more bait than you.
Yeah,
but if I can hit you with a half-ounce sinker, you're too close. You know,
right,
like, it's dangerous. There's Andy from the Enterprise was on Judge Judy or whatever the fuck it was.
That's right. What was that? What was that all about?
He
lost that case, didn't he?
I think they lost the case.
Yeah.
Some knucklehead fired a Tatty 45 at him or something like that. I don't know how exactly the story goes, but I'm surprised they wanted to go on TV for that one. But yeah, it was just that El Nino thing was the start of the mini boat thing that would cause so much grief for all of our captains here, and they'd lose sleep over it. And then they'd get even more testy at each other because now they're pissed off at the little boats, big boats, debate, everything in a nutshell.
And just so people understand, so a captain has a sport boat and he's catching lots of fish or doing well, and he's got a chum line that's, that he's got going. And then what happens? What pisses him off? What is it that a private boater does?
He just gets down current, down swell, gets right in the chum line and right on top of the fish because he's unaware. He doesn't have the electronics. He doesn't even see the fish boiling. He doesn't see any of that stuff. And when you come out on a sport boat for the first time, you'll hear a lot of shit that you're like, why is that guy yelling at that guy over there? And it's like, he's fucking it up for everybody on the boat right now. And nobody really understands that. But we're in LA County. There's just too many gosh darn boats in general. So we're going to step on each other's toes. I know there's been times where fishing with Walker, we'd roll up to like 9 or 10 little boats and just trample all over them. And then vice versa, they'd pay us back the next day. It's just kind of how it goes.
Mike, you mentioned good employees are hard to come by. Tommy Rothery runs the Polaris Supreme. He told me when he looks for an employee, he didn't give a shit about fishing experience. Zero. He wants a guy who's good with people, and he can teach them about the fishing. Agree or disagree?
100%.
Yeah? That's the most important thing.
The desire to want to be here. Not where I come from. I run the office. Any old knucklehead can do it as long as I can trust you with the money and answering phone calls and smiling and not cursing at people all the time. Just a portion of the time, because that's okay. We're fishing. We're a little saltier, but show up on time, the willingness to learn. There's a young buck learning on one of the boats here that he's done everything wrong every single day, but they still keep him around because he shows up every day an hour early and he gets shit kind of ready, but he's,
probably halfway decent with people.
Oh, he's great with people. It's just, it's not their way sometimes. And you see it, but he's never going to be fired because he is here to do his job and wants to be here. It's some people have it, some people don't, but just the ability to be here an hour earlier than everybody else and an hour later after everybody else is a very, very strong thing in our industry.
Yeah,
so.
Gotcha. We talked about work ethic. That presupposes that this requires an awful lot of your time. Captains that run boats.
Oh, yeah.
How is that on your family life? How do you keep your family happy when you're freaking putting in a lot of hours? And captains, especially when they're turning and burning, when they're turning and burning, how do you balance that?
I have a great relationship with my wife. We talk really openly about everything for the most part. And for me, I'm here all hours of the day and the night. I enjoy being on the water more than I like being in the office, but I make magic happen on land more than I do on the water. But for me, it's not too bad because they can come and go and see me, and my kids are old enough to hang out with me at the shop if I have to have that happen. But for these guys, they really look forward to this time of year, boat work season, things like that. But during the summer, I know a lot of the people I look up to kind of sort of regret that time they missed with their families, but they made a shitload of money doing it. So their kids in college, it panned out, but there were certain things, little league, things like that a a lot of parents miss. But in our industry, there isn't like dropping what you're doing at work and then going to make, the seventh inning, you're out for 2, 3, 4 days at a time, come home, shower, sleep. You're just exhausted at the end of the day. But some reason we get back up and do it every freaking day. So our spouses really appreciate what we do for our families, but it's not 12 months out of the year. So that's, I guess, the best part about it. Like I said, we work hard and we party hard, and that's
and having a spouse that understands that dynamic.
Yeah,
super freaking.
There's
important,
there's a lot of single deckhands and captains around here because they just doesn't work for a lot of relationships, but I don't know.
In case somebody's listening and they're a little bit out of the loop on this, how many hours a day does it require of you to work an island boat, for example, like the Freedom? How many hours a day are you going to be working on that boat?
Well, let's go with Pursuit, a better example. Okay. I know Gus and his crews down here between 4:15 and 4:30 every morning. They get the boat fired up. They jam over to the bait barge, get bait, because they want to be the first boat to the island. So they're on the boat from 4:30 in the morning till 8, 9 o'clock at night sometimes, depending on what bites. And it's one of the nicest boats in the fleet for a reason, because their work ethic on the boat. But it's a long ass season for these. I mean, Gus, if you see Gus, if you know Gus 10 years ago compared now, he's all gray, like he's.
Yeah, and he's what, 22?
He's probably like, 19 and a half or something like that. But yeah, he's grown old fast because he's also a boat owner as well as a captain. So the stress is real for him. A lot of the captains that are, just captains, for the seasonal captains, they have a really nice, easygoing situation, but most of them are single.
Yeah.
But work ethic for us, like I said, we hit it hard and then we put it away wet and start boat work a couple weeks from now and then get ready to roll for March, and then it blows in April, and but it's a long ass season.
It is. And the other thing, you mentioned that he's on the boat from 4:30 till 8 at night. When he gets in at 8 at night, now he's trying to balance the time with his family, but also he's got payroll. He's got galley shit to buy.
Oh, yeah.
He's got all that crap on his mind also, right?
They have a great network there between him and John. They hold the weight of each other. And it's like that for all the boats here. It's just, we're just speaking on behalf of just the Pursuit. Overnight trips, once you've committed to working a trip, your shift starts at 7 o'clock at night and doesn't end until your day off. So you're on the boat 24/7, and hopefully it's biting and people's pockets are full of $100 bills to give you for tips.
Yeah. How's tip money around here?
We're very fortunate around here.
Yeah?
Yeah, these guys make pretty decent money around here.
Is it because people are so generous, or because
no,
the
they're
crews
just
are so great?
Really good at shaking down people. It's strong arming with a smile.
One of these days, go ahead.
I've had to explain to a few deckhands because I am the manager. I get the phone call. Somebody said, this guy wasn't very nice to me. Basically, I've as hard as it's for me to say is when you look at somebody and you give them the finger, at least smile.
Yeah, exactly.
It changes everybody's opinion on how that transaction just went down. And I hate the word Yelp, but it always starts on the Yelp thing. And then if you see one Yelp, you just kind of read through it. And it's the same Yelp over and over again. Then you got to do something about it real quick, because you don't want that to spread like fire. Because if you lose one customer, you lose 10. And that's all seriousness. Like, we really pride ourselves on customer service around here. And that goes, the phone rings to me. I handle all the complaints, the concerns. We address them and we get over it. And I think this is the last few years is the best this place has ever ran, just for customer service. We kick ass. People love this place.
Yeah, and that's I imagine that's because it sounds like you're monitoring like Yelp and you're watching this crap, right?
I just beat the employees.
Yeah, I don't blame you, right? Yeah, like Damien.
No, I'd feel bad if I hurt him. I love Damien.
Hey, let's talk about what's nibbling nowadays. It's wintertime. We've just come out of this incredible bluefin tuna fishing, but you mentioned it's still around a little bit. What can people expect here at 22nd Street Landing to catch right now?
I was on our Instagram talking for about 20 minutes on the ride home. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't want to get in a boat because there's fish that swim around too fast biting. They want to go catch rockfish. Oxnard, Hooks, the Ventura, sport fishing, all those guys, they make a living just catching rockfish all year long. They don't have to catch anything else. People love it. So we try to focus in on those things, catching the big reds. Damien just got off a day and a half on the Freedom. Yeah, day and a half on the Freedom, and he was like 5 to 8 pound chuckles and reds.
Damn.
Yeah, and I love that fishing. When
Me
when you
too.
said 50 hooks, I was like, boing, can't even stand up after that.
Oh my God. You
Fortunate to do that once.
frickin'
I
so
didn't go to jail
bitchin'.
for it. So.
We actually would drop 75 hooks.
Oh, dude, the stuff you guys talk about, like I
Oh.
said, when I'm come on here with a Jameson and ginger ale, these questions I'm going to ask you and other people that I'd love to just let them open mic it too, because there's a lot of stuff that a lot of history here, a lot of things that we used to get away with and things like that. That's what people really want to hear on this shit. I mean, it's going to be hilarious. It's just moving forward it's just going to get better and better. We can handpick the people who want to sit in this chair. I'm just the first ding dong of the day. So.
Oh no, shit! It's been fantastic. I can remember we'd go to Catalina, the West End. Sometimes there was good squid fishing there, but once in a while we'd get blanked, and we're on a time. We're trying to make squid and then go to Tanner, so we didn't make it, and we go with no bait, and then so my brother would drop down a jig, and start jigging because we're going to strip out a bakash or whatever, and frickin' catches like a 10-pound, 12-pound cow, and I go. Well, shit, we can't strip that out. It's and then he gets a big old frickin' vermilion.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, will you fucking catch a bocaccio, a piece of crap, please?
Yeah.
And then we'd strip that out and drop 75 hooks. And man, when you feel the rattle on 75 hooks, and you just feel like it's so bitchin'.
Don't get too excited about this talk we're having here. You can't do that anymore. Can't fish rockfish with more than 2 hooks. But
that's still fun, man. And
it's great. And then we have these descending devices that'll send down the little ones, so you can call out the fish sizes. It's actually kind of nice. Most of the time, the trips are so short that you just keep what you caught, keep your bag limit, and then go home with it. But these islands produce world-class rockfish. In San Nicolas Island, even Low Mark Jr.'s, popped his cherry this year, started running the Amigo, and he's doing really good. I mean,
I saw that,
the only
man.
bluefin caught for the week. It was him, and I'm like, hell yeah, dude, you were paying attention.
I
just
saw
had your
that.
head up your ass.
I
but
was really happy
he
to see
did
that.
really well. I was like, dude, I'm so stoked for you. I called him on the radio. I'm like, fuck, man, you kicking ass. It is in your blood.
He's a great kid. He's really a great, polite, nice kid.
Oh, Marky's a sweetheart. Unless you know him like I know him.
Yeah, really. I don't want to hear about that. So rockfish, are we going to catch any surface fish anymore? Will there be any tuna trips or anything like that? Or is that possible?
I'd love to tell you that the tuna, I mean, like I said, I talked to Walker at 1 o'clock today, and he said I had limits of bluefin just behind San Clemente Island. I can say that now because this isn't going to air right now, but it's biting. Like we had that weather. There's going to be a little bit of weather. There's some northeast coming this week. And it hasn't scared the fish away. It just turned the bite off and on. So I don't know if we'll run out of customers, but we generally run out of customers this time of year. And then we start fishing rockfish. Half day kind of peters out and everybody starts doing their maintenance. But we're going to focus on rockfish. When the sculpins show up locally, we'll go after those. The bass at Catalina Island isn't having as much interest for the customers, but for me and you and your kid and you, I'd go bass fishing right now because it's all catch and release, We're a special breed. We like this stuff, but for the masses, we're going to go catch rockfish and sheephead and whitefish, and it's everywhere you go. It's almost near limits of big quality rockfish. My favorite time of year. I got a picture framed of me that Earl the Pearl took of me holding a big ass chuckles head with my beard and my beanie. Man, that's my fucking. Love that shit.
There's nothing.
I wanted to catch 300-pound tuna, but I'd rather go catch cod.
So, what is an important rig for catching rockfish? I would say a dropper loop. What do you say that we go join Damien for a moment?
Yeah.
Check out how to tie a dropper loop rig.
That sounds great.
Right here at 22nd Street.
All right, my name is Damien, 22nd Street Landing. I'm going to show you guys some rockfish options here. I'm going to start off with the basic dropper loop. 8-ounce torpedo. Go ahead and slide that on the bottom. Give it a couple twists. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. As strong as you think you need it to be. Send it through the hole and cinch it down. Simple enough, right? Torpedo's attached. We're going to go about, 12 to 16 inches above that, and we're going to begin our first loop. We're going to do a double dropper loop in this instance here. Take some space here. Fold it onto itself. Go ahead and use your teeth gently to hold it. Give it about, 5, 6, 7, 8 twists. You're going to send this end through your loop here. Send it through. Simple enough, right? Hang on. Cinch down. Boom, there you go. Now it's time to apply a hook. If you're fishing with sardines, I'd fish like a size 1, a 1/0, 2/0 maybe the largest, depending on the size of your sardine. Here we're going to start with the size 1. Small enough hook. Get your loop adjusted here so you're nice and straight. Pinch it down. And we're going to send this pinched end here through the eye of the hook. Simple enough. Send it through. Boom. Get a good cinch down there. Simple enough, right? There's your first loop. Now, if you're going to be fishing double, you can take some space off this free spool your reel. Give yourself some slack to work with here. And then you're going to start again. Go about, 14 inches from your first loop to prevent tangling or fouling up with yourself. There you go. Gently do your 6, 7, 8 turns. Throw this through there. Okay? Full. Pull down. Boom. Now, if you guys are deciding to, or lucky enough rather, to be having whole squid or live squid on the boat, you're going to be using larger hooks. So, for instance, here's a 3/0, 4/0, 5/0, all the way up to 7/0 hooks. That's going to be used when you're fishing with whole squid, if you're lucky enough to get it. Now, there's also options here if you're not going to be using torpedoes or double dropper loops. You could be fishing with, actually you can still use a torpedo, but you're going to be fishing with a shrimp fly, which is pretty much going to be swivel attached to your weight and tie your main line onto this top barrel swivel up here. Pretty traditional, pretty standard way to get bit, still works. That's about it. All right, so there's your double dropper loop setup. If you'd like to come fishing with us at 22nd Street Landing, please give us a call, 310-832-8304. Go online or just pay us a visit. We'd be happy to see you. Thank you.
All right, Mike. So it's been a great show. I've totally enjoyed it. Now, a couple things. One, I need to mention that we are going to do a little fundraiser here at 22nd Street.
Yeah.
People can bring in canned good. They can throw a $5 bill in a bucket. Whatever it is, we're going to, Philip, Friedman Adventures, and Bass Bros, we're going to take down a load of stuff to Tecate, Mexico, to the orphanages, and down that way. The safety net in Mexico is not like the safety net here.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people that are really hungry and really suffering right now. So thank you for helping us to do that. Appreciate that very, very much.
I'll put that up on Instagram tonight.
Yeah, right on. We'll be doing that. And then also, looking ahead, we're going to be doing a charter on board the Tradition with Tom Durer. That's coming up. We'll let you know the date on that. But any of you out there who'd like to join us, we're going to start doing more regular charters, fishing trips here out of 22nd Street Landing. Looking forward to that. That's always fun because then we get to meet the public, people that are listening to the show. Yeah. And I can't wait to do that.
Oh, like way back when we did that day at the landing.
Oh, shit.
That was amazing. I need to have that happen again in my life.
Let's do it.
Why? Because you got to talk to your favorite deckhand. He wasn't in work mode. He was in drinking the freaking Corona mode at the dock.
God, that was fun.
That's the shit we need.
You know
in
what
our
the
life.
best fun about that was that freaking jalapeno
Dude,
contest.
that guy does not stop talking about it. I forget
Really?
his name. And
The guy that won?
Yeah, and then Eli, he's like, he's like, I'm never doing that again, man. Never.
Did Eli win, or he went?
He tied with the other guy.
God
the
almighty.
guy with the
Maybe
parade.
we can describe. So we had this day at the landing, kind of like a day at the docks, but
Exactly.
here at 22nd Street. And we came up with a jalapeno eating contest. And there was probably, a dozen people that started.
Oh, yeah, it was impressive.
Quite a few,
Yeah.
right? And it was freaking brutal, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. I wish we could do this shit more often. Not this year, but that was cool. I mean, we nailed that. We blew that one out of the park.
And not this year because of COVID?
Yeah, not this year. And then we got busy. I couldn't see it fit seeing the boats at the dock, instead of fishing. So when things kind of slow down a little bit, we'll probably do it again.
Yeah.
Maybe go bigger.
That sounds good. I don't know, man. I thought, I was a little disappointed that you were the guest for our first show. But you've come through with flying colors, man. We're going to definitely have you back. It was a lot of fun. Great to be here at 22nd Street. So nice to call this our home. We are so
Pleasure to
happy,
have
and you were instrumental in making that happen. Mike, you're the man.
I'm waiting for my 20%.
Hold on. Let me look for that
20% of nothing.
All right. And remember, everybody, you can follow us on Friedman Adventures on Facebook, Instagram. We'll keep you in touch there. Mike, thanks again, my friend.
Thanks for having me.